All right, everybody, I'll just give everyone one more minute to filter in. I see quite a few people are joining us, including some familiar faces. Great to see you. Please go ahead and dive into the chat and tell me who you are and what languages you're learning. And then we'll start our session on how to use artificial intelligence to learn any language in just a second. Okay, so I've given people 2 minutes to filter in, and let's kick things off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session on how to use artificial intelligence to learn a language. I'm very excited to be telling you about some of the things that I have been doing with my partner, Kirsten, in this exciting project called AI Language Club, where we have been exploring how you can use AI for all sorts of tips for language learning. Just a little bit of missed slide. So I've got quite a lot in store for today. We'll be talking about how you can bring a little AI magic to your language learning. And I'll talk briefly about why use AI for language learning, and then how you can get AI to create language materials for you, how you can play games with AI and use AI as a language partner and tutor. So please go ahead and say hi in the chat box. Use the Q&A for any questions that you have, just to make sure I don't miss them. And feel free to tag me on @TechForward on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And also, I've got a free training about how AI can boost your language learning, so you can learn more after this session if you're interested. And I'm actually just going to turn that link right on now, so you can check that out whenever you're ready. A quick question to kick things off. Where are you at using AI in language learning? So type A, B, C, or D in the chat. A, I've never tried it. Where do I even start? B, I've dabbled with a tool or two. C, I have a couple prompts or apps for AI practice that I use. And D, I'm a pro and use several tools regularly. So as you can tell, I like to make my sessions very interactive. I'll be taking questions as we go. I'll be giving examples based on what you tell me you're interested in learning from any of my working languages. So I'm taking a peek, and it looks like we've got a pretty even split between A's, B's, and C's. So some people who've never tried, some people who've dabbled with a tool or two, and some people who are using AI regularly, with one or two pros sprinkled in there as well. A quick moment about language learning philosophy. So Kirsten and I think language learning is for everyone. You don't have to be young, rich, smart, privileged, and it should be fun, and it should be easy. And when you find the tools and resources that work for you, it becomes easy. And well, you might be wondering how I know that and who I am. I'm a professional interpreter, translator, teacher, and tech geek. I actually have, before I went into all of this, I was a language teacher, and I am the co-founder of AI Language Club with Kirsten Cable. And my languages, at least the ones I'm willing to do demos in today, are English, Spanish, French, Italian, Catalan, Portuguese, and German. And I saw quite a few of you working with these languages as well. So we'll have some demos in any of my languages as we go along. Before we get to the demo part, which is the fun part, I just wanted to take one slide to talk about what artificial intelligence is, for those of you who don't know. So you've probably heard of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the tool we'll use today for our demos, but it is not the only AI tool out there. There are quite a few of them. And AI tools use what's called a LLM, or a large language model. which is a huge data set. And because they've got this huge data set and the way they analyze it using something called transformers lets them really understand how language works, it makes it an excellent tool for language learning. And because this data set is so big, AI tools can understand language that in any language, right? You just write to them in natural speech and they understand, which is an amazing revolution. AI has actually been around for a long time, and we've kind of seen it everywhere. Chatbots, healthcare, finance, retail, autocomplete, automatic transcription, speech recognition, and much more. But when these new chatbots came out, we were blown away by how revolutionary AI could be for language learning, because you can talk to it. And indeed, here's just 5 reasons why you might want to use AI for language learning. So first of all, when you talk to it, it adjusts to your level. You can tell it, make this for a beginner or an A2 language learner. Make this a little bit more complicated, adjust so I understand. And it's a ton of fun to have a language learning buddy right on your computer. It's not going to judge you, and you can even write to it. So fun writing practice. I know a lot of people think writing's not all that much fun to practice, but with these tools, it can be, and you can access it anywhere that you've got an internet connection. Okay, so that was my introduction, and now it's time for our demos, the fun, exciting part of this workshop. So first of all, let's create some language learning materials around your interests. I need any of my working languages that one of you is learning and a topic that you're interested in learning more about. Can be anything okay, that was very fast. Maria, Portuguese computers. Okay, any other requests? Let's see. Okay, lots of options coming in here. Art, cuisine. Oh, I'm going to do this one, Catalan cuisine, because I live in Barcelona, and this is quite a fun one. So many options, though. Okay, we'll do some examples based on Catalan and Barcelona for this one. For the second exercise, I'll pick another language, and for the third exercise, I'll pick a third language. So how do we create learning materials around our interests? We're going to go over to ChatGPT and create a new chat. This is what the ChatGPT interface looks like. And there's a 3.5 version, which is the free version, and the 4 version, which is the paid version. For today, we're going to use the 3.5, so the free version, for everything. All right, so we said cuisine, food, always a fun topic. And 2 of you wanted Catalan. Great. So tell me about some common dishes in Catalonia. So I can already ask AI some information about food. And here I'm seeing all sorts of dishes that might be interesting, right? Some of these dishes are actually, yeah, I'd say these are all pretty accurate. This is making you hungry, Maria. Me too. So quite fun. Now, if I wanted to actually dive in, this is good for learning about culture, but if I wanted to dive into learning some of the vocabulary around these, let's say I wanted to learn some kitchen-related vocabulary in Catalan. Give me a list of, let's just say, 10 kitchen utensils in Catalan and English. All right, so this is a great starting point for me learning some vocabulary related to the subject that I am interested in. I don't really find this that easy to look at in this format, so I can just say to ChatGPT, turn this into a table. Aha, much easier for me to read. So you can see I've got words like a frying pan, a colander, a knife, a spoon, a fork, pots, whisk, grill, grater, bowl. Very good starting point. Maybe I need to know a little bit more vocabulary for talking about food. So add another 10 terms to the table in English and Catalan. So you can see I'm just typing in normal language with the tool, and it's giving me lots of options. Okay, and so now I've got all sorts of other, a little bit more advanced vocabulary, like a pasta strainer or a lemon squeezer, and so on. Good starting point, right? But let's dive in a little bit more. A cherry pitter. Yes, that's pretty obscure. So if we were talking about, I was going to get this to write a story for us, but it's quite hard to write a story based on vocabulary related to food. So let's take another example. I'll just create a new chat. And let's ask for one more that one of you wanted to learn about, computers in Italian. So give me a list of 15 computer-related words, computer-related words in Italian. There's a typo, but it doesn't really matter. Turn this into a table. And now I see you're starting to ask questions like, could we get grammatical gender? Well, let's try. Add a third column with the grammatical gender of each word in Italian. So Italian speakers, you can confirm or deny if this is correct. Actually, almost all of these words are loan words from English. So most of them tend to be il, masculine, but it does look like it's gotten this correct. It knows whether these are masculine or feminine. And we could also ask AI to show me how these words are used in context. So add another column with an example of how each word, each Italian word, is used in context. What are you thinking so far? Impressed? Any questions? Keep them coming. All right, we're lucky today the computer is not slow so far. AI is working pretty quickly for our examples, but you can see that there are lots and lots of things going on here. And there are all sorts of exercises. So word match, I don't have the time to talk about today, but yes, you can create many, many exercises, fill in the blank exercises, if that's your style, and so on from this. And Lisa says, it's lovely that you can turn the list into a table so quick. Yes, Suzanne, this is the free version of ChatGPT. So I can't, so we've got lots of examples, and now I'm just going to show you the story one. Turn these words into a story in Italian. I'm typing my comments in English, but I could type this in Italian or other languages if I wanted to. ChatGPT would understand. Turn these words into a story in Italian. Let's see what comes up. Okay. It might even give me a translation at the end. We'll see. And Lorenzo says, all of the gender is correct except for one. That's great. Okay, so here's a little story. Once upon a time, there was a very old computer. The hardware was quite slow and the software was obsolete. One day, the owner decided to make a big update. He bought new components and installed more modern software. And the computer felt younger and faster all of a sudden. And you could see I could keep going with this story. It's a pretty silly story, but again, we just picked the topic that we wanted to learn about, and we started to dive in. Now, if this is a little bit too complicated for you, I see Celeste is asking about the level. I could say, please rewrite this in simpler Italian. It wasn't too complicated already. But here's the first paragraph now. Once upon a time, there was an old computer. It was slow and the software was old. One day, the owner decided to improve it. They bought new things and installed new software. It doesn't actually say installed, it just said put in new software. The computer got faster. So you can see we can adjust the level, and ChatGPT even knows about the different language learning levels in the European system. If you use the common European framework of languages, you could say, now rewrite this story in C1 level Italian according to the common European framework of reference for languages. All right, so it's rewriting the whole story. I'll just jump back to the first paragraph again so you can see the differences. So it says, once upon a time, there was an antiquated computer that was known for being very, very slow and having software that had become obsolete, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't translate on the fly. I'm not going to translate this on the fly, but you can see the point here is it can adjust for the level. And as Lorenzo said, the simpler version doesn't sound 100% natural. It's true because we asked it to simplify to a very, very simple version of it. But yes, we can use this to adjust. And it's generally very, very close to accurate the way natives would write and speak. There are some mistakes with AI, but there are also some mistakes with language learning when you're working with other learners. So I think that the context, the output is quite good here. All right. So anything else I wanted to show you for this example? We've created some language learning materials. Oh, somebody was asking about some exercises. So create a quiz based on this example. So you can see there are all sorts of ways. This would unlock reading comprehension exercises. We could read it out loud to practice our reading. We could dive into the vocabulary, right? If there's a word here that we're not so sure about, let me just find one that's a little bit complicated. Okay, ormai. This is an interesting word in Italian for the Italian speakers. Tell me what the word ormai means in this context. All right, so you can see it actually can provide quite a bit of information. In the context of the C1 level Italian story, the word ormai is used to convey a sense of time or duration. It can be translated to by now or by this point. And then it tells me in this particular sentence here, software ormai obsoleto, it suggests that the software has become outdated or obsolete over time. So pretty impressive understanding of language and knowledge of language that AI has. Okay, so it doesn't matter what language you ask your questions in. I could ask the questions in Italian. I could ask the questions in Italian and make mistakes in writing the questions. If I'm not a native Italian speaker, if there are mistakes, as long as the AI can understand what I'm asking, it can answer my questions. So another way that you can practice with it. It's hard for me to keep track of all of these questions coming in the chat, so please put them in the Q&A just so I make sure I can answer as many of them as possible, because the chat is very exciting. I see a lot of you are using this and enjoying it. Let me try to answer one or two real quick. So you can use ChatGPT on any device. It should work fine on a tablet or desktop or laptop or smartphone, and the same applies to other major tools like Bard or Bing. They work just fine. And there are even some benefits of using them on those devices. One of you was asking about speaking exercises. So actually dictating to AI. Yes, you can do that. And it works really well from your smartphone because it has dictation software built in. And it will even, some tools will read the answers out loud to you. So Bard, for example, will read the answers out loud to you. But I'm just sticking to ChatGPT for today so it doesn't get too complicated. Okay. So I think I've answered. And of course, you could read it out yourself as a listening activity. I'll just show you real quick. I wasn't planning on showing you Bard, but I can just take this. No, let's start a real quick story here. New chat. I have to share my audio. 1 second. Okay, let's switch languages. Give me a list of city, how about transportation, related vocabulary in Spanish. Write a story about this in intermediate, right? Write a story using this vocabulary in intermediate level Spanish. All right, so we've got a little story. Once it's done, there should be, here it is. Bard's pretty cool because it gives you different drafts of the story. We won't go into that. Oh, the magic bike. Okay, that sounds exciting. And we can actually hit listen and it will read to us.
La bicicleta mágica. Había una vez una niña llamada María que vivía en un pequeño pueblo. María era una niña muy curiosa y le encantaba explorar.
Okay, so yes, there are extensions for ChatGPT. I'm just showing you the basic, a tool that actually has this built in, and it's built right into Bard. Okay, so I showed you how the first thing I wanted to show you today, which is how you can get ChatGPT to create learning materials around your interests. The example you see in this slide is actually a quick GIF that I put together where I asked it for surfing related vocabulary. And I said, give me a list of 10 surfing related terms, and then give me some examples in context so I can see how I would actually use these words. Okay, next, I'd like to show you how we can play games with AI. So we'll go back to ChatGPT and create a new chat. And I thought we could play the game 20 questions. So let's see, what languages have we done? We've done Italian, Spanish, and Catalan so far. So let's do French here. My German's probably good enough for an example of 20 questions in German. Let's try it. Do you know the game 20 questions? Yes, I know 20 questions. Okay, I'd like to play 20 questions in German. I'm thinking of an object. You ask me the questions. Always write to me in beginner level German. Ready to start? Okay, and it says, yes, I'm ready. I'm thinking of an object. Let the questions begin. No, I want to think of an object. You ask the questions. Okay, and now ChatGPT, it made a mistake, and now it says, I'm sorry, it apologized. And it says, is this something edible? And I can say, yeah, or a 9. What object was I thinking of? Let me think of a real object. Okay, we're going to go with a bicycle and see if it figures it out. 9. Okay. Is it something that you would find in your household? So there's a word in German that means kind of. I'm going to go with that and see what it says. Okay, so you can see. Okay, here's a word that I'm not sure about in German because my German's not that good. What does freien mean? Outdoors. There we go. So thank you for the people who are helping me. But the good thing is that when I came across a word I didn't know, I could actually ask ChatGPT to help me. Dankeschön. Ja. All right, and it's gone back to our exercise. And as Maria says, we can see hours flying by with this. Okay, is this object? Ich verstehe nicht. Right? I don't understand the question. Can you write it in simpler German? Okay. So you can see that I'm not going to go into the whole thing and see if it can figure out the bicycle, but I can use this to play a game, which is a lot of fun. As Maria says, you can see hours flying by with this game. Yes, and it's pretty good, I think the language is, and a lot of fun. And you can see when I came across something I didn't know, I could actually ask a question about that word or get it to explain that word. And I could even say, here I could have said, im Freien means this. And I could have said something like, give me 3 sentences with the word im Freien. Right? And so you can see with English translations, please. You can see that I can do all sorts of things to help me unpack and learn new vocabulary with this. All right. The third thing I wanted to show you, and then I'll try to answer a few more questions, time permitting, because we have a very short amount of time for this session. But this is the second thing I wanted to show you, how you can play games with AI. And this is not the only game you can play with AI. I actually have written prompts to get AI to play an alphabet learning game, like I'm trying to learn the alphabet in a brand new language. One of you asked, does this work well for beginners? And absolutely, there are a lot of exercises that you can do for beginners, starting with learning the alphabet. There are some AI tools that can search the internet where you can go out and get a recipe in the language that you're working with in very simple language and see a video of it actually being put together, and so much more. Okay, so we saw playing games, and the third thing I wanted to show you was getting AI to be a language tutor. So we'll just create a new chat. So there's this word in Portuguese that means a lot of different things that I've been trying to understand. And this word is ligações, okay? Ligações can mean things like connections, links, and so on. So let's just see what AI can tell me about this word. How can the word liga, it can mean phone calls, exactly. So it can mean a lot of different things. And we can see it's told me it can mean connections or links. Here's an example. As ligações entre as duas empresas são fortes. The connections or the links between the two companies are strong. It can mean calls, like I got a lot of phone calls today. It can mean relations, like family ties or family relations. Ligações familiares são importantes para mim. And it can mean something like wiring, right? As ligações elétricas. The electrical wiring needs to be checked regularly, and probably other things too. I could dive in more, but let's just ask it. I want to see some examples. Give me 3 example sentences of how ligações, let me just paste this in. Can be used in each of these contexts. So yes, I speak peninsular or continental Portuguese. Some of the examples might actually be from Brazil and here because I haven't told it one or another. And you can see now I've got 3 links for how it, 3 examples for how it means connections or links. We've got 3 examples for how it means phone calls. We've got 3 examples for relationships. Here it said ties. And here it's actually translated this differently, so it's good for me to see that relationships also in this case can mean friendships, right? Ligações de amistade are friendships, and some examples for wiring as well. Now, there's another new useful, one of you is asking about learning not just the words, but the context that these words are used in, right? So I could ask it, I'll copy and paste to save time. What are 10 verbs used before the word ligações? And here we can see examples. So fazer, to. Okay, I'm just going to ask it to also, thanks, add a translation into English of each sentence after each example. It's not very good English, but you get the point. Okay, so fazer ligações, make calls. It's too fast. I'll have to let it finish loading. All right. So here we go. We can see we could fazer, we could receber ligações, to get a phone call. Atender, so answer calls. Efetuar, make calls. Realizar. So looks like all of these examples are for the calls use case. That's great to see all these verbs that would be useful, but now I can say, and now give me 10 examples related to the connections meaning of the word. So estabelecer ligações, right? Forge connections, I'd probably say. Manter, maintain, desenvolver, develop lasting connections, and so on. I'll just answer one question here. Can it work with different geographic variants? Yes, you can ask it to rewrite something in British English or continental Portuguese or Brazilian Portuguese and all the variations of Spanish as well. I want to show you one other useful prompt, which is asking if there's a word in a context that you don't understand. So maybe somebody was reading recently and they can give me a sentence that they came across in a language, any of the languages I work with, and a word you weren't too sure about. And if you could just paste the word and the sentence or paragraph into the chat, we'll use that for our example. Okay, so Claire was very fast. I need a whole sentence though, Claire, for that. Whatever it is, okay, so this is a very short example, maybe just like a paragraph or 2 sentences that you saw in an article or something you were reading. All right, let's try this example. I don't know what this means, Claire. It's Colombian Spanish. So here's the prompt. Act as a language tutor. I'm going to give you new words I'm learning to increase my vocabulary. For each new word, I'll give you context, write the meaning of the word, and give me examples of how to use it and explain the meaning of the word in the given context. So then I'm just going to say the word right here and the example. Let's see if it knows. All right. So there we go, Claire. I learned something myself. It says, pane is a colloquial term used in some Spanish-speaking regions, especially in Latin America, to refer to a friend or buddy. It's a casual and friendly way to address a close companion. Is that true? For those of you who speak those variants? Good. All right. Claire says it is correct, and it was a test. And here we have some examples. Quiero estar con mi pana. I want to be with my buddy. Mi pana me ayudó en la mudanza. My friend helped me with the move. Salí a caminar con mis panas. I went for a walk with my buddies. All right. I see lots and lots of examples coming in, but because we don't have all that much time right now, let me take a couple minutes to answer questions if I can, and then I'll tell you how you can learn more. So Lorenzo says, if you consider how quickly it spits out a long and coherent text, this tool is excellent. Yes. Advantage, if any, of paid GPT versus free GPT. I don't have time to talk about this, but basically the free version is good enough for our purposes. Should we be worried as language teachers? No, I think we should be excited, because isn't one of our challenges that students get bored or they don't want to learn about what we're teaching, or we have to adapt materials and we want to make sure that every learner can learn about their interests. Well, this is a way for every learner to learn about their interests at their level. So I'm very, very excited about this. All right. Many of you are asking about what languages these tools can handle. In theory, they can handle any language available on the internet. So we have people in the AI Language Club working with much, much smaller languages. Kirsten, my co-founder and partner in AI Language Club, is learning Welsh, which has, I think, 500,000 speakers and getting really excellent results for a smaller language as well. They work with other scripts, no problem. I actually speak Hebrew as well. I didn't mention that, but I'll show you real quick. Give me 10 words related to beaches in Hebrew. Right? And you can see it's given me words, chof, chol, gal, tzel, etc. And I could say, give me example sentences. Right? And it's even giving me a transcription for these. So my point is that it can work with lots and lots of languages. And you can try it with slang, definitely. So quite a few of you are asking about different tools. I'll just say that there are several different AI tools out there, and the different AI tools from Bing to Bard to ChatGPT, which we're looking at, offer all sorts of different features, and some of them are better than others for certain things. So the playing a game one, the 20 questions is built into ChatGPT, but not into Bard. But Bard, on the other hand, can work with images, which is incredible. You can get it to describe images. You can get it to analyze exercises if you have grammar exercises that you like, and create new ones for you, and so on. And I don't actually know with sign languages, so you'll have to test it out. I suspect some of them will work better than others with sign languages, but they're probably all going to be pretty weak. That's my hunch. Okay, so let me tell you, let me see, did I answer everything? I'm trying to keep up. So I think we've seen about subtleties and variation of language use because we saw that example from Spanish. And how do you know how accurate these tools are? So everything I've shown you today is ways to explore vocabulary, to do reading, comprehension, to have it read out loud to you. But that's not all that AI tools are good for. They're actually really good for using them as a starting point for working with other language learners. If you have a tutor that you're working with, they're a really great point for getting conversation starter questions, for preparing for your one-on-one sessions with your language buddy, and so on, because they can give you a starting point. And then some of these texts, if you're not sure if they're 100% accurate, you can also go over them with the person that you're learning with your tutor, with your language buddy, and use that as a starting point. So again, here, I'm not claiming that they're perfect, but I do think they're amazing for unlocking materials about what you're interested in and giving you a great starting point. And I'll just say, one of you was asking about differences between tools. Bard and Bing can both search the web. Everything I showed you just now was with ChatGPT, which the search functions are a little bit more limited because ChatGPT uses a more limited data set. I don't have time to go into all of this right now, but the point is tools like Bard can search the web, can give you links to videos and links to websites so you can dive in and read more, links to songs, all sorts of stuff so that you can really learn a lot more about the subjects that you're most interested in. One of you asked about ChatGPT for translation work. So yes, I myself am a professional translator and interpreter, and I think I've published it. Got a whole blog post about this. Let me just see if it's up real quick for that person. All right, it's not live yet. I wrote it, but it's not live yet. But just keep an eye on the Tech Forward blog. Sirian, I'll put the link here, Tech Forward blog, and you can learn more about that. Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about how you can learn more if you're really excited about this, because really what we had today was just the tip of the iceberg. I didn't have time to show you everything. I didn't think I could. I hope I've given you a lot of ideas, but I would love to continue talking about it with you. And as you've seen, Kirsten is also in the chat and has been answering some questions as well. Kirsten and I put together this really fun project called AI Language Club. And AI Language Club, you've got the list in the resources, but I'll also just pop it into the chat for people who are interested. AI Language Club is a community of learners exploring fresh ways to boost language skills. And I think I'm seeing a lot of you who are amazed by these different ways you can use AI to explore your languages and boost your skills. And this is really, really just the tip of the iceberg, what I was able to show you today. So what we do in AI Language Club is that every week we put out a new tutorial video, nice and short, 5, 6, maybe 7 minutes, where we take one of these topics and really go into detail. So today I was sort of dancing over the surface and showing you different things that we do. But we dive really deep and show you lots of different ways you can use a given prompt and a given tool and exercises that go with it. And we have 50, 60 ideas in our database, and there's a new one every single week. Just to give you a sense of well, first, we've got an entire free training that you can check out if you want to learn more about how AI can boost your language learning. I've put that right in the chat. And here's some of the things we've been doing since we put this together. So for those of you who are watching the replay, you can also get this at tfw.rocks/AI boost. So just in the last 2 months, we have had tutorials about transforming text. So rewriting them in lots of different ways, writing literary text, poems, songs, things like that, preparing for conversations that you're going to have with your language partner, and so on. Then we looked at a tool called Bard, and as I said before, that is that one can connect to the internet. And we looked at researching with Bard and looking how you can work with images with Bard and how you can create recipes and so on. So, and in December, we've got lots more fun stuff like 20 questions, the speaking thing that many of you have been asking about, alphabet game, working with flashcards with AI, and exploring the holidays in there too. So yes, it is a paid club, but we've tried to keep it really, really inexpensive. You can hop on over to the club website to learn more about it and check out the free training. Right now, we've got a wait list, but we're going to be reopening for Black Friday, and you might even find something if you sign up for that wait list where you can get a special offer. So that is all from me. I hope you're excited about ways that you can use AI to create perfectly tailored trainings and materials that fit your learning style, that are at your level. And I hope you're excited about using AI to have real life conversations, get rid of the boring language learning lessons, and get excited about your target language again. So lots of comments coming in. I see that you found it very interesting, that you never thought about using ChatGPT for language learning before, but that you want to dive in, that you want to try it out with different smaller languages that you work with. I'd be really interested to see how it works. And Adele, or David, I'm really thrilled that you're finding that your mind has been blown by this. I also find it really, really exciting. And I'd love to hear about how you use this in your teaching and in your language learning. And thank you to Janet, one of our Language Club members, who said she joined the club and thoroughly recommends it. It's fun and really interesting, and she's got lots of new ideas already. So that's it from me for today, and I hope you all have a great conference. I look forward to seeing you more and to hearing about how you're using AI to boost your language learning. Bye, everyone.